So we heard this morning that opinion polls can be a flawed way of getting to understand really truly what your audience thinks about. For charities, how would you recommend they do better quality research into the needs of their audiences?
I think it's as simple as that polling can be flawed depending on how you do it, and it's just one of a number of tools that you should have available to you in terms of researching your audience. So everyone does cross-sectional surveys to find out prevalence, incidence, what people think, attitudes, awareness, and that's one part of any research. But it's important to make a distinction between not just asking people what they want, but actually designing services, designing communications around them, which is not always about asking what someone wants. It's asking what they need, but also asking other people what they think they need. So I think the point is right to an extent that it's flawed, but in as much as any research method has its limitations, and this is just one of many that I think good work should use.
And you made an interesting point about some peer research that you had been involved in, talking to Bangladeshi and Somali women. Can you just tell me a little bit about how that worked?
Yeah, so we were doing a piece of work for Tower Hamlets, and the aim and objective was to understand why the uptake of cervical screening was relatively low compared to other parts of the country. And we realised that because of the makeup of the Tower Hamlets population, there would be kind of harder to reach groups who perhaps in a focus group wouldn't give us the information that we needed in order to make a difference. So what we decided to do was use peer research. So we trained up Somalian women, we trained up Bangladeshi women, who then went into their communities and did the research for us. And I think a number of things that we found, I expect we wouldn't have found had we approached it through more traditional methodologies. For example, one of the things is because of the legacy of female circumcision among some parts of the Somalian population, it means that cervical screening has a fear factor which is not present for other parts of the population. And I think by asking them to go away and then feed back to us, we got to something that we wouldn't have got to otherwise.
So the crucial things then are make sure you're asking the right questions, make sure you're using the right methodology, and make sure you're getting the right people to ask those questions. Would there be three of the key things?
Yeah, I think it's basically in some ways as simple as making sure it's fit for purpose. So you have a range of tools from which you can choose, and you design something accordingly, not just imposing a set model of research upon your project. You design it fit for purpose.
That's great. Thank you very much.